First story. I cheated on my husband like my sister, thinking it's a phase and my husband will move on and give me another chance like any loving person does. But he divorced me even after I went and see with my affair partner, offered an open marriage on his side, and exposed myself to everyone. Now my entitled sister has taken his side, blaming me for my cheating. Help me reconcile with my husband. Wife's post. I ruined everything for nothing. Repost. I got a lot of nasty messages in my original posting. I guess I deserve that. I didn't want to. But my husband suggested I repost so others maybe can learn and not do the same mistake. I will not use this account moving forward, apart from the PM dialogues I have with a few select people to help me. I don't really know where to begin. I have destroyed my family. My husband is leaving me. And my children don't even want to be in the same room. My sister suggested I post here to maybe get some advice. It took a lot of effort to even type this out. I have been crying for weeks, and I found that I was lying to myself, trying to make myself look better in this story. What hope is there when I can't even be honest with just me? All alone by myself. I am in a terrible state, so this is a bit all over the place. Sorry about the wall of gibberish in advance. I am 38F, my husband is 39M, and we have 4 children. 15 to 8 years, and we have been together since I was 16, married 18 great years. I had an affair. It felt great for a while. Now, in hindsight, I know it was all a delusion, a fantasy. Now I am so ashamed, I don't know the words to even describe it. I can't even look at myself in the mirror. Everybody hates me, including my own sister, who is the only person that would take me in. My sister is also a cheater, BTW. Her fiancé left her for it. Still, she yells at me, constantly telling me what a piece of SHT I am. She found out about my affair early on. She warned me I was on a path to disaster if I didn't stop immediately and come clean. I was too selfish and stupid to see that. I was too wrapped up in myself to listen to her. So I refused to stop. She in turn cut me out of her life until she picked me up. My husband started divorce proceedings and doesn't even want to talk to me. I don't know how or even if I can fix any of this. He has said he would come and talk to me the last 3 days, but he hasn't shown up. I cannot blame him. I hurt him so badly. I broke him, my family, my children, and myself. And I wish so much I could take their pain away and just disappear. All I do is stay in bed staring at the ceiling, hating myself. Whenever it is quiet, it feels like my heart is trying to escape from my chest. I get panic attacks where I struggle to breathe. I am hardly able to eat. Whenever I fall asleep. In my nightmares, I see my husband's pain and him looking at me without love in his eyes. The therapist I have been seeing believes this maybe started for me about 3 years ago. My best friend from school died suddenly from cancer. She never married. She was a partner in a law firm and had an extravagant lifestyle. I have always admired her. I have an okay career in marketing and have been a stay-at-home mom for long periods when our children were small. The time at home with my children was the best time of my life. For some reason, I started re-examining my life when my friend died. Especially what I hadn't done. I became very critical of myself. I started feeling inadequate. My self-esteem plummeted. I had only ever been with my husband, and I started to resent him for it. Like he had denied me romance and experiences or something. In reality, I twisted it around in my head. It was me that actually pursued him. I was the one that wanted marriage and a family. I felt like I should have done better with my life, experienced more, done more. Somehow I managed to blame my husband for all of it. I didn't actually talk to him about it. Deep down, I knew it was just stupid. Still, I grew resentful, and gradually, over time, I would push my husband away. I had no reason at all to feel this way. I had a loving, attentive husband, happy, healthy children, a good job, great as ex-life, hobbies, good health, nice vacations, friends, a great extended family, a good economy, etc. My life was wonderful by most measures. Of course it wasn't perfect, but whose is? My younger sister got engaged around this time. She had been a bit of a party animal growing up, and her fiancé was wonderful. I became jealous of her, like her life had been better than mine somehow. My sister cheated on her husband before they got married, and he left her. She was devastated. She has told me that it's her biggest regret. But it's only now that the shoe is on my foot that I understand her. Somehow I got obsessed with her cheating. I started having fantasies about it, dreaming about it. So about 7 months ago, I started to respond to flirting from a younger married coworker. It turned into an emotional affair almost immediately. I loved the attention. He knew just what to say somehow. The first 2 months were a whirlwind, so exciting, a massive rush. During this time, I neglected my husband and my family. I would deny my husband intimacy, and I treated him very poorly. Somehow I managed to resent him for what I was doing. I blamed him for the guilt I was feeling. Looking back, I clearly see how much I hurt him. I saw the pain on his face. Pain was so easily ignored at the time. I remember how hard he tried to win me back. But at the time, I somehow managed to justify in my mind that what I was doing was my right. I deserved it. In my mind, everybody should just be happy for me. I managed to convince myself that I was entitled to this affair, that it was good for me, and that nothing else mattered. It's turned from an emotional to a physical affair at around 2 months. The SX was mediocre at best. My affair partner was a very selfish lover. When it turned physical, the excitement I felt during the emotional affair started to slowly die off. I kept the affair going. I wanted that initial excitement back. But the more time I spent with the affair partner, the less I felt that initial rush. We never had a real or deep emotional connection. It was just pretend. Still, I actually believed I loved him. I was also starting to feel more and more guilty for what I was doing. I took it out on my husband. Somehow I managed to blame him for how I felt, and was absolutely terrible to him. Then I felt guilty for that, blamed him for that, and treated him even worse because of it. Around 2 months into the physical affair, I noticed a drastic change in my husband's behavior. He stopped trying to initiate intimacy. He stopped all the little things he used to do for me. He used to leave love notes around for me to find. Normally, he would be going out of his way to make me laugh or smile. He used to kiss and hug me all the time, and make this little joyful sound when he did so. He stopped including me in his life. He would not even engage me in conversation. He used to make my favorite meals on the days I had to work late. Now he didn't even make a plate for me when he made a normal dinner. He would only make food for himself and the kids. I tried arguing with him about it, but he just left the house without even saying a word. I didn't want to accept it. I was in denial. But I know now that he had completely disconnected from our relationship already. The affair with affair partner deteriorated quickly after that, but it continued for almost over a month before I finally broke it off with my affair partner. Strangely enough, I haven't had any desire to have any more contact with him. I started going to individual counseling. My therapist pretty much spelled it all out for me, but still it didn't sink in. I refused to come clean. I started to desperately try to reconnect with my husband. I was still in total denial. I managed to convince myself that if I acted like the perfect wife, he would come back to me. My husband showed no interest at all, but he would come around eventually, I told myself. I believed the crushing guilt would go away if I could reconnect with my husband. I believed we would return to normal, stronger than ever. He would never know the full truth of my betrayal. I would dress up the way he likes, spotlessly clean the house, try to initiate, cook his favorite food, anything I could think of. Nothing worked. Even if I tried to just touch his hand, he would pull away from me. My husband would barely look at me. He would spend a lot of time out of the house. When I tried to talk to him, in most cases he wouldn't even respond. If he answered at all, it would be along the lines of "I don't care." Then he would just leave. Deep down, I knew I had lost my husband. I just refused to accept it. Before this, whenever he looked at me, there was always this tremendous amount of love in his eyes. He would rest his eyes on me for long periods of time and just lovingly smile. Now, whenever I looked into his eyes, the love was gone, and he would barely even glance at me. Still, I managed to convince myself that we would be all right. Still, I hadn't started to cry. A few weeks ago, my husband was in the kitchen when I came home. He was smiling for the first time in a long time. I sat down, and the rest of the conversation is actually a bit blurry. But I found out my husband knew about the affair almost the entire time. At the end of his speech, he told me we should divorce in such a way that he clearly expected me to enthusiastically want a divorce as well. The reality of my actions crashed in on me all at once. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see clearly. I just couldn't form coherent thoughts or sentences. I don't know how long I sat there babbling, but my sister came and picked me up. She was talking to me in the car. I don't actually know what she said. I think I was in shock. Some days after that, my husband came to talk to me. I had been desperately reading online about ways to fix a marriage after infidelity. I had even prepared a full written confession and a timeline for him. I offered him everything, a post-nup 100% in his favor. Full access to everything. Anything he wanted at any time. Anything at all. If he would just stay with me. He took the timeline, but he didn't even want to read it. I confessed everything, and for a second I saw that pain flash across his face again. The same pain that I had so easily ignored so many times during the affair. Now even that little flash was unbearable to me. I could see that he was clearly hiding this pain from me. This hurt me even more. He was still being courteous and fair with me, even though I didn't deserve any of it. Sitting there, I finally had to accept that there was no longer love for me in his eyes. The only thing I could see was distrust and disappointment. As he argued with me, I could no longer deny that this was all my fault. I had broken my husband's trust. I had broken him. He used to be kind, considerate, open, and full of jokes. This new man in front of me that I created. He was somber, an emotional brick wall, a man that only cared about moving on. He explained in excruciating detail how badly I hurt him and how he would never be the same. Without even blinking, he told me that the love he once had for me had died, killed by my choices. He wants to start dating. He even has a woman in mind. He didn't want to cheat like me, so he wants to divorce as soon as possible. I can't really understand how I managed to mess up my life so badly. I have destroyed my family, and now my children will have to suffer through divorce and the pain of growing up in a broken home. At some point after that I fell unconscious, and I woke up in the hospital. My sister was there, but my husband was not. That devastated me even more. When I came, I started calling everyone, confessing what I had done. I called the affair partner's wife, his parents, our friends, and my employer. I resigned as well. Basically, I called everyone I could think of. Everybody hates me now, and I deserve it. Still, my husband isn't talking to me. I destroyed my family, broke the love of my life, and traumatized my kids. And for what? Some cheap thrills? I don't understand how I could do this. Can I get my husband to talk to me? How can I even ask him to do that? How can I ever face my children again? What do I even say to them? I desperately want to repair this. But how could I even start? Is it even possible? I am completely lost. I don't know what to do. I don't see any way out. Edit. I have had a PM dialogue with my husband. I found out he posted a few days ago. We have agreed to meet later today. I will pick myself up for the sake of my children. And I will fight for my marriage. I know I have no right to, but I refuse to give up. My heart won't let me. I will fix myself. I know how broken I am. Reading the comments here was incredibly painful, but thanks to all of you, I have managed to get myself out of bed, and I know what I want to do. It remains to be seen if I am successful, but at least I will try. I don't know how yet, but I will try to figure it out. Husband's post. Repost. My cheating STBXW confuses the hell out of me. I originally posted in relationships, but I was advised to post here instead. I got some comments from my post there, and I have taken a lot of criticism on board on what I did wrong and how I can improve. I also had some feedback on how to handle my wife and get to a point where we can be good co-parents, but I still really don't know how to approach this. I guess I am still trying to find a strategy on what to do next. Original post. So I'm seriously confused. I have been reading a lot on these forums over the last few days, but I'm still kind of dazed. TLDR, wife cheated, I checked out. I thought she would be happy for us to go our separate ways, but she completely freaked out. I just understand what she is trying to achieve. I discovered my STBXW cheating about 7 months ago. I went through all the heartache, the denial, the pain, and the pick-me-up attempts. I was seriously depressed for a long while. I never confronted her, but I was a total mess. She must have known I knew. She just didn't care, I guess, or at least I assumed that. About 2-3 months ago, I was just done with it all. Done with her, done with the marriage. I just didn't care anymore. I completely checked out of the relationship and started preparing for divorce and my new life to come. I avoided my wife as much as possible. I tried to stay out of the house when she was home. I would not engage in conversation. When she asked me a question, I would only answer yes, no, maybe, or I don't know. I even left the divorce lawyer bills out in the open. She must have known I was checked out and preparing to divorce. Kids even asked me about it. Even they could see what was going on. I even did the "we both love you" speech. It's not your fault, sometimes grown-ups can't be together anymore, etc. My wife was actually in the room and must have heard me talk to the kids. She didn't comment or object. I took her silence as consent. Anyway, a few days ago, I met a girl I used to know in school before I ever met my wife. We always had this tension between us. Some kind of chemistry. We would always flirt and be touchy, but we never actually did anything about it. Let's call her Monica, because I think she looks like Monica Bellucci. Monica and her family moved away before I found the guts to actually do anything about it. I regretted that for a long time. But I was young, shy, and stupid. I haven't been thinking about Monica for a long time. I haven't seen her for years. But as soon as we met, the tension between us was palpable. Even more than I remember, and communication was effortless. She actually asked me out. I explained the situation to her with my STBXW. I told her I wanted to be officially separated before I started dating. I wasn't going to cheat. Monica respected that. She gave me her number and told me to give her a call as soon as I was done doing what I had to do. She told me she never married, and she was really excited to get to know me again. I was even more excited. The encounter motivated me to finally confront my wife and officially get separation and divorce going. I was really happy when I went home and sat down waiting for my wife. I was actually grinning like a lunatic when I asked her to sit down and told her that we had to talk. I told her I've known about her cheating for a long time. I told her I assumed that she knew I knew. Especially since I checked out of our relationship for the last 3-ish months. She didn't seem to mind that I no longer care. So, I told her I wanted to start dating and get on with my life. I concluded my speech with, all taken into consideration, it's time for us to get divorced, don't you agree? Her reaction was totally not what I expected. She started crying, not just regular crying either. Like a desperate soul-breaking noise. I have never heard anything like it. She was blabbering excuses, asking for second chances. That the affair didn't mean anything. We could fix this if we try counseling, etc. I was a bit shocked. I thought she would be happy. I told her she could go and be with this guy without guilt. He is obviously more important to her than her family. If he wasn't, why go with him in the first place? She must have known this would destroy us. She can't possibly be that stupid, can she? I asked her if she believed we needed to fix our family or our marriage. The time to do that would have been 7 months ago before she had the affair. Now it's too late. It's broken beyond repair. I didn't think we had any problems in our marriage. She didn't talk to me, and I am not a mind reader, so whatever it was, I had no way of fixing it. Since she started this affair with the other guy, she obviously thought something was wrong or missing. Something that was so wrong that it couldn't be solved by talking to me. Something had to be so lacking or so wrong that she was okay with having our children grow up in a broken house from there on in. If not, why do it? I clearly and calmly explained that there is no way for her to leave this guy for the last 7 months. And there is no way to undo the pain and suffering she caused me. The pain she caused made me arrive at this point of basically being indifferent. Or actually, I kind of hate her guts. I'm simply being civil for the sake of being able to co-parent our children in the future. I told her I didn't believe she ever cared about me. No person who cared even a little for someone else would put them through this kind of pain. They would not betray them in such a way that she had done. Her telling me that she loves me has no meaning or credibility because her actions conclusively prove other vices. She became completely incoherent at this point. I could not make heads or tails of anything she said. It's just a jumbled mess. In the end, I had to call her sister. Because honestly, I wasn't going to take care of her. Her sister showed up, and after I explained what was going on, she took her away. I felt tremendous relief when they were gone. I could finally breathe for the first time in 7 months. I don't know what I'm looking for here. She must have known this was going to happen. She must have wanted it. She can't possibly be that stupid that she thinks about this behavior, and these choices she made would result in anything other than divorce and a broken family. She is beautiful. She is smart. Our marriage was great up until she started her affair. I have accepted that life changes. I have moved past it. Now she is pretending like she loves me. That she wants us to remain married and a family. What could possibly be her motivation to have this major drama at this point? What could she gain? I mean, she couldn't possibly expect us to try to reconcile at this point, could she? It must be some kind of ploy. I just can't figure out what it is. I have lots of evidence of her cheating. I live in a European country, and this would mean no alimony or anything for her. Could that be it? Is she afraid I will leave her? Could that be it? She wants me to feel sympathy, so I don't tell people about what she did. Her affair partner is married, so maybe she is scared I will hurt his wife. I just can't get my head around it. Anyway, I just had to get this out of my head. I was hoping it would make more sense typed out. But no, I am just as confused now as when I started this rant. Update. So first of all, thank you to everyone. It's been overwhelming in many ways. I haven't had a chance to answer everyone, but I have tried to read everything. I posted 3 days after the conversation with my STBXW, and I had hardly slept. Actually, I passed out reading messages on my computer. And when I woke up the next day, I had an interesting keyboard pattern on my face and a much clearer mind. I decided to make some lists, for and against the key points. I put a bunch of papers on the wall. I made a headline on each of them. Our kids. How to behave when meeting the wife. My marriage, Monica. Questions to ask my wife, etc. The final document is too big to retype here, so I will just cover some of the main points. My goal was trying to figure out what core principles I wanted in place and what the most important things were that I wanted to focus on. Then I went through each of those and evaluated whether or not I would actually be able to achieve anything meaningful from it, and what would be a meaningful result in the case I got anywhere. As for the kids, they are my number one priority. I will increase my efforts to help them deal with this. More individual counseling, family counseling. I will arrange trips and spend more quality time together and make new memories. I will also involve the rest of the family on my side to drown them in love and help them through this. I will also talk to their teachers, coaches, etc. I want to make sure their support system is immediate and everywhere. I got an STI test, and I've also booked DNA testing of the kids. Just thinking they might not be mine makes me very uncomfortable. But I have to make sure for their sake. If they're not mine, maybe there is some medical history they need to know about. What if they want to reach out to the real father when they get older? How will they see me if I don't act now to make sure? Hopefully they are mine, and I will be stressed until I get it confirmed one way or another. After talking alone to their therapists first, they joined us, and we explained everything carefully and let them ask as many questions as they wanted. I repeated over and over and over again that they could come to me with anything. I am their dad. I love them more than anything, and I will always be there for them. Whatever they need, no matter what. As for my marriage, I came to the conclusion that I can never trust my wife again. Without trust, it's not possible to have a relationship. I also came to the conclusion that I do not love my wife. I do not love the person she has become. My love for her used to be a very big part of me, but she killed that with the affair. It totally changed my perception of her. Maybe I could learn to love her again, but to be able to do that, I would have to want that, and TBH, I don't want to. Better to end it and get on with our lives. I no longer want this marriage. I don't want our relationship. I don't want her. The part of me that loved her. The part of me that used to feel endless joy and happiness when thinking about her. That now fills me with dread and memories of pain. Actually, any thought of association with her causes me serious discomfort at the moment. Divorce is inevitable, I think, and I want to get it done as soon as possible. As for Monica, I talked a lot to her. I had some concerns based on the feedback I had here on Reddit. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to jump into a new relationship. I also didn't want to bring her into my mess. And let's face it, my life is a total mess at the moment. She disagreed. She said life is messy. We might as well see how we deal with that together while dating. I found out why she never married. She was engaged. Actually, her fiancé died unexpectedly in a work accident almost 5 years ago. This devastated her, and even though she had gone on a few dates since, she had not been able to form a connection with anyone. From her perspective, life is short, and you have to take risks whenever a true opportunity presents itself. I explain how I don't want to start anything until after the divorce is official. I don't want to cheat while I am technically married. She agrees and respects that. I also talked about how it could be perceived if, all of a sudden, we're an item out in the open for everyone to see. It would be easy to try to frame her as the homewrecker. I don't want that, she agreed, and we will wait a little bit after it's official until we do anything. I feel incredibly drawn to Monica. This phone call is a borderline emotional affair in my mind, so I will not contact her again until I am done with legal separation. We agreed that I would get my affairs in order and contact her when I was ready, and we would see what we do then. When it came to planning the meeting with my wife, I wrote down some principles on who I wanted to be. I would make every effort in my meeting with her to try to be that man, the man I used to be before all this. I decided I needed to stay calm. I would make every effort not to be cruel. I would keep in mind that the purpose of this conversation was to move on with our lives. The purpose was to be able to co-parent as well as possible for our kids. Still, I prepared a list of questions to try to understand her thinking to have this affair, and also what she was thinking about moving forward. I was not going to be deceitful. I was not going to give her false hope that there was a chance to reconcile just to get a post-nup or some benefit in divorce. I have decided to act as fairly as possible. I will divide all assets with her equally, and we will have 50-50 custody. Even though she has acted terribly towards me, I will not use her as a role model. I will act so I can stand by my actions today, tomorrow, and 20 years from now. I hate her for what she did to me, what she did to us, to our children. But I love the memories of the good times we had together while they lasted. And I love our children that we created and raised together. I will try to remember her in this light moving forward, not her cheating. I can't carry hate in my heart, so at some point I need to forgive her so I can move on. Up until the point she cheated, I think we had a very good marriage. We would make love every day. We spent a lot of quality time together. We hardly ever argued. We sacrificed for each other willingly. I was actually very open with her up until I discovered her infidelity. I believed she was open with me as well, but now her actions show this not to be the case. So Saturday came, and I went to see her. Her sister had warned me that she was not in good shape. She was not wrong. My STBXW looked absolutely horrible. Bloodshot eyes, swollen face, unkempt hair. She looked many sizes smaller than I remember, like she had imploded into herself. I doubt she has slept or eaten much this week. We all sat down, and my wife was shaking almost uncontrollably. I felt surprisingly calm. I felt for her obvious pain, but not as a loving spouse. I felt for her pain like I would feel for an actor in a movie I was engaged in. I don't know how to explain the feeling really. It confirmed that I probably don't love her anymore. I just sat there and waited for her to collect herself enough to speak. She started several times, but would break down crying. Watching her, it's clear it's not an act. I have seen her cry many times before, but never like this. I guess people can fake cry, but I doubt anyone can fake the look of crying non-stop for a week mixed with soul-torturing sobs and giant snot bubbles. When she finally started talking, it was like a dam burst. She apologized for every second word. Surprisingly, she didn't try to excuse herself or shift the blame to me. Her sister cried as well and would from time to time berate her. It also became clear that her sister had warned her this would happen. Apparently, it's how her sister lost her fiancé a year ago. I didn't know that. Her sister's cheating gave my wife a midlife crisis of sorts. She started to think about cheating a lot. In the end, it seemed she did this because she got infatuated, had a crush on the guy, and couldn't help herself. She never believed I would find out, or that anyone would get hurt. It was a completely selfish thing. She was apparently very happy in our marriage. She convinced herself that she deserves this fling, and that I probably supported her choice if I knew how happy she was at the time. She convinced herself that this affair would pass, and we would all go back to living happy family lives ever after. She had no idea I had found out, and only when I started to check out did she start to question what was going on. I learned she broke up with the affair partner about 1.5 months ago. The buzz had started to wear off. She gave me her phone to check, and she had blocked him. When I unblocked him, messages dating back 1.5 months started pouring in. She had been trying to re-engage me in our marriage, but I hadn't shown any interest in having anything to do with her. Up until I sat her down, she was convinced that we would be able to find a way back together, and that we would end up stronger than ever. When she looked into my eyes when I confronted her, she understood that this was probably the end of the line. The reality of it all hit her like a ton of bricks. I tried asking her some questions, primarily about what it was in her mind that gave her the right to do this to us, to our children. Basically, it's nothing but selfishness on her part. I realized, like so many of you pointed out, that I will never get the answers that I'm looking for because they don't exist. There is no acceptable reason for cheating. Therefore, I will never get an acceptable answer. I did, however, get closure in a weird way. I got to explain to her how badly she had hurt me, the incredible pain she had caused. I got her to accept that it's her fault that our marriage is broken, and that our children will grow up in a broken home. This gave me a strange feeling of peace. She had been reading everything she could about fixing a broken marriage after infidelity. She had a complete timeline and detailed confession signed and everything ready for me. I haven't read it. I just gave it to my lawyer. She begged and begged and begged for a second chance. She would do anything she said. I told her I didn't believe her. In fact, I didn't believe anything she said. I just don't trust her. She asked me what she could do to fix it. I told her she broke it. If she doesn't know how, can she expect me to present her with a solution? I asked her if she was in my shoes. What would she answer to that? If anything. These types of questions went back and forth for a while. In the end, she conceded that had the roles been reversed, she probably wouldn't forgive this either. I told her I had gotten an STI test and that I would do a DNA test on the kids. She completely broke down for about 20 minutes when she heard this. She insisted that this was the only time she had ever cheated or done anything out of line. Again, after some back and forth, she conceded that I had no reason to believe her, and if she were in my shoes, she would probably do the same. I asked her if the affair partner's wife knew. She didn't know. She conceded that she deserved to know. I asked her if she should tell her or should I. She asked me if I would consider reconciling or marriage counseling if she told her. I told her no, but I said it would help her regain a tiny bit of respect in my eyes. She promised to tell the affair partner's wife and everybody else. She would go to HR as well and confess everything. Again, I told her I don't really believe her. She swore she would never be with anyone else and that she would never give up on getting back with me, even if it took the rest of her life. I didn't believe her, but I didn't say anything. It was getting redundant at this point. She offered me a one-sided open marriage, access to all her communication, and 24/7 availability. I told her that I had talked to Monica and that I was waiting because I didn't want to cheat. I don't want to be in an open relationship. It would hurt her if we did that, and I don't want to hurt other people like she hurt me. I don't want to be her jailer either. Constantly snooping on her and being suspicious is not grounds for a healthy relationship. I am not interested in intimacy without a deeper connection either. This X for the sake of mechanical's X has no value for me. If I need mechanical release, I can fix that on my own. I don't need a partner for that. At this point, we were all exhausted. We had been going out for over 5 hours, and my wife had been crying on a scale from bad to absolutely horrifying almost the entire time. We weren't going to get any further on this. It was done. I told her very clearly that the love I used to have for her had died. I didn't recognize the person she had become anymore. Our family had died by her hand, and that I would go through with divorce. I told her she could not undo what she has done. The only way to avoid this result would have been to not start the affair 7 months ago. I didn't want our marriage back. I didn't want her back. I did not want more pain. I suggested we go out of contact for a while to get some distance and perspective. I told her I already filed, and that my mind was made up. We could start family therapy for co-parents. But beyond that, I don't even want to see her. This was incredibly painful to tell her. She was crying hard while mumbling, "No, no, 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 please no, please no." When I got up to leave, she got a massive, almost explosive nosebleed. She started to reach for me, but she passed out. I managed to catch her before she hit the floor. I drove her and her sister to the ER and stayed until I learned she would be okay. Last night and today, STBXW has been telling everyone what she has done. The affair partner's wife called me this morning to get confirmation that what my wife had told her was true. I sent her copies of some of the evidence. I just learned she kicked her husband out. She wants to meet and look at more of the evidence. She has been suspecting for a long time, but hasn't had anything solid. I suggested we sit down for dinner tomorrow. She had a need to talk and asked if we could talk on the phone. I don't know if I can take that on right now. I told her maybe later. I freely admit I am feeling like a piece of SHT. I haven't been able to sleep. Cracks are forming in my resolve. I know I must stay strong, but it's very hard. Why do I feel so guilty? Why do I feel responsible to try to fix this? We may be able to fool ourselves for a while, but it will most likely not work long term. Some of her friends and relatives have been calling me up and cursing me out. They think I should give her a second chance. But in my mind, I am thinking, why drag out the pain? It's better to get it over with so we can start to heal and build new lives. So that's it. Nothing spectacular. No revenge, no resolve, no peace. No happy ending, just more pain for all of us. My mind is in a very dark place right now. I don't know what to do, to be honest. Second story. My ex cheated on me with my personal trainer and abandoned me for him. Now, 1 year later, she came back and wanted to try us again and reconcile, blaming me for her cheating because I neglected her after her affair partner cheated on her. Hey everyone, I 28M just had a weird situation pop up, and I honestly don't know how to process it. Maybe getting it off my chest will help. Names are fake, obviously. A little over a year ago, I was in a serious, 3-year relationship with Megan 27F. Everything seemed great between us. at least from my perspective. We were talking about moving in together and even had casual talks about marriage someday. Around that time, I started getting into fitness and introduced Megan to my personal trainer, Jake, 30M. Jake was a super charismatic guy, and he and Megan hit it off. But I didn't think much of it, just assumed they had a good trainer-client relationship. After a few months of them working together, Megan started acting more distant. She'd be busy after her workouts, not come home until late, and her phone would suddenly always be on Do Not Disturb. I'd ask her about it, but she'd blow me off, saying I was being paranoid. Well, it turns out I wasn't paranoid. One night, Megan left her phone on the counter while she was showering, and it lit up with texts from Jake. Let's just say they weren't talking about meal plans or workout routines. I confronted her immediately, and she broke down and admitted she'd been cheating with him for months. She told me she fell in love with Jake, and that it wasn't about me, it was just something she couldn't help. She packed her things and moved in with him within a week. That was the worst time of my life. It felt like my entire world had been ripped apart. I blocked her on everything and focused on picking up the pieces of my life. Therapy, gym, hanging with friends, I slowly started to move on, even though it left a deep scar. Then, out of the blue, a few days ago, she reached out to me on a new number. At first, I wasn't going to reply, but curiosity got the better of me. She started off saying she missed me, that she's sorry for everything, and that she's made a huge mistake. Apparently, things with Jake went downhill fast. She found out he was cheating on her. Oh, the irony. They've broken up, and now she's stuck, lonely, and miserable. She even admitted she's been thinking about me for months, but was too ashamed to reach out sooner. She said she realizes what she had with me was real, and that she wants to make things right. She claimed she's willing to do anything to prove she's changed, and asked if we could meet up to talk. Here's the thing, Reddit. Part of me still has some feelings for her, but another part of me is screaming to block her again and never look back. I don't know if I can ever trust her after what she did, but hearing her sound so broken on the phone stirred something up in me. Maybe it's pity, maybe it's nostalgia, or maybe I'm just an idiot. So here I am, trying to figure out if I should hear her out or tell her to stay in the past, where she belongs. What would you guys do? Edit. I'll post an update after we talk. Right, I haven't responded. I wanted a general consensus first. Update. Hey everyone, I wasn't planning on doing an update, but after meeting up with my ex, I feel like I need to get this off my chest. If you didn't read my first post, the quick version is, my ex, Megan 27F, cheated on me a year ago with her trainer, Jake, and left me for him. Now, she's back, saying things went south with him, and she wants to get back together. So, we met up yesterday for coffee. I went in not really knowing what to expect. Part of me wanted closure. Part of me was still curious about what she had to say. We talked for a good couple of hours, and it was a lot to process. Megan started by apologizing. She admitted that leaving me for Jake was the biggest mistake of her life, and she's been paying for it ever since. Without getting into too many details, things between them weren't as perfect as she thought they'd be, and the whole relationship basically crashed and burned. She's been struggling ever since mentally, emotionally, financially. It's been a rough year for her. But here's the part that I wasn't really prepared for. She also brought up a lot of things about our relationship that I never considered. She said that while cheating on me was 100% wrong, she felt like I wasn't the best boyfriend either. According to her, I didn't always make her feel appreciated, and she resented me for that. She mentioned that I was emotionally distant at times, more focused on my work or hobbies, and she felt like she wasn't a priority. She didn't use it as an excuse, but she said that built-up resentment contributed to her being tempted by someone who made her feel wanted. Hearing that hit hard. I didn't see myself that way, but looking back, I can see where I might have dropped the ball. I thought I was being a good partner, but maybe I was blind to some of her needs. She said she spent a lot of time reflecting and realizes she should have talked to me about her feelings instead of stepping out. After we finished talking, she asked if we could try again. She claims she's learned from her mistakes and wants to rebuild what we had. She told me she's willing to take things slow and prove she's different now, but I'm torn. On one hand, I've done a lot of healing in the past year, and I don't know if I can or should go back. On the other hand, I can't lie. Hearing her admit her mistakes and explain her side of things made me feel something. Maybe it's closure, maybe it's sympathy, maybe it's old feelings creeping back. I honestly don't know. Now I'm just confused. Part of me wants to move on and never look back, but another part of me questions whether we both made mistakes that could be fixed now that we've grown. I can't tell if she's just trying to ease her guilt, or if there's a real chance at something better. What would you guys do? Is there any point in trying to rebuild? Or is it better to leave the past where it belongs? Comments. Bookrints. My guy, she was manipulating you. Lol. If you weren't a great boyfriend, why is she coming back to you now? Tell her. Sorry, I was such a SHT boy to you. I didn't know. But the good news is, you're now free to find someone better. Good luck. Like, if you were so bad she started resenting you, why even want you back? Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.